My name is Marcy Semenska, and I'm here to present Authorize the Town of Lexington to prohibit or restrict the application of second-generation anticoagulant rodenticides. Last year, some concerned residents of Lexington brought a citizen petition to town meeting asking the town to prohibit the use of second-generation anticoagulant rodenticides, SGARs for short, on town-owned land. We presented data on the dangers of SGARs to children, pets, and wildlife. We discussed the cruel nature of the poisons. We also provided information on integrated pest management, IPM, and alternatives to SGARs. That article passed with overwhelming support. Since last year, those same concerned residents have partnered with town officials on usage, policies, education, and communications around the dangers of rodenticide and effective alternatives. They also educated the public via yard signs, tabling, social media, and presentations. They help with wildlife rescues, getting animals tested, and logging results. Finally, they surveyed bait boxes in town and reported broken boxes to authorities. All these efforts led to submitting this town meeting article to start the process of restricting SGARs on all land, public and private. As presented last year, the dangers to people, pets, and wildlife are real. In a 3-year span, Massachusetts saw close to 200 cases of anticoagulant rodenticide exposures in humans, almost half in children. With companion animals, there are dozens of cases each year, with approximately 1 in 10 cases resulting in death. For wild animals, there is well-documented evidence that these poisons are affecting wildlife and creating a toxic food web. In our region, there is documented evidence of poisoning happening to eagles, owls, hawks, crows, foxes, coyotes, fishers, skunks, weasels, and more. What we didn't talk about last year was how long these chemicals linger in the environment. Depending on the product and other variables, the half-life of these chemicals in soil, water, and the liver range from a day to over 365 days. Poison does not stay in the bait box. It can be carried away by a rodent, the box can be broken and the bait exposed, or it can be in a carcass. All this speaks to contamination in the environment and is very concerning. But let's talk about Lexington. Since last May, there have been 6 confirmed rodenticide poisonings in Lexington. This included 1 fisher, 4 hawks, and a weasel. The fisher lived, the hawks and the weasel died. These animals were found in various areas of Lexington. While Lexington does not use SGARs on town-owned land, bait box usage on private land is pervasive. An informal survey of bait boxes on commercial property in January of 2025 revealed 338 bait boxes in town. We have superimposed the route on a street map and on an open space map. The blue X's mark where the animals were found. Given that exterior boxes are not required to be labeled, it is not always possible to determine what is in a box, but the likelihood of SGARs is high. This survey was not an exhaustive enumeration. It just included boxes that were visible from a car or from walking on a public walkway. Even then, we were able to count almost 350 boxes. If we were to add in apartments, condos, and single-family homes, the number could easily exceed 450 boxes. Each box holds up to 1 pound of poison, and they are refilled on an as-needed basis. That is a lot of poison. During the informal survey, we noted that bait boxes are clustered in certain areas and around certain kinds of businesses. As an example, we found 83 boxes on Hartwell Ave and 57 boxes in the 2 to 3 blocks of Lexington Center. A high percentage of commercial properties have bait boxes, and some have as many as 20. We are not here to call out any particular business. What they're doing is allowed. We are here to point out the number of boxes in town, the fact that there are dense clusters, and some clusters are near open space. At this point, we would like to remind everyone that the only way to really control rodents is to focus on prevention and exclusion. Beyond that, there are a host of alternatives, including repellents, traps, CO2, birth control, non-anticoagulant poisons, and more. Poison should not be used in place of prevention. Based on our experience, the residents of Lexington care about rodenticide use in town, but currently the control of pesticides resides at the state level. Basically, the state and only the state can regulate these poisons. There has been a lot of effort at the state level, both in the legislature and a legal petition to the pesticide subcommittee, but that has had limited or no success so far. Instead of waiting on these entities to take action, cities and towns are doing what they can by restricting SGARs on municipal land and passing home rule petitions to tackle non-public land. More and more cities and towns have passed policies to reduce SGARs on municipal land. That is what Lexington did last year. To reduce or restrict or prohibit on private land, one needs to ask permission from the state in the form of a home rule petition. Rodenticide-related home rule petitions have passed in 7 cities and towns so far, and several more are in the works. So what does our article ask for? Our article requests that the Select Board file a home rule petition to allow Lexington to pass a bylaw in the future that would restrict SGARs in town. Based on the wording, you can see that this is a 2-step process. Create a home rule petition that goes to the state, and if enacted, pass a bylaw via town meeting. That future bylaw would permit the town to determine the extent to which SGARs should be prohibited or restricted in town. While we don't know the details of that future bylaw, we expect that it would be efficient and effective and would involve common sense rules around the usage of these chemicals. It is important to note that this article does not bind us to any particular policy or commitment for that future bylaw. Lexington has a history of prioritizing the health and welfare of its residents and the environment. In recent years, we have passed articles related to plastic water bottles, gas-powered leaf blowers, building codes, and trees, all important issues for our environment. Given that wildlife do not adhere to private-public boundaries, given the dangers of these poisons, given the number of bait boxes in town, and given readily available alternatives, it is time for us to move towards restricting SGARs in our town. We hope that you will support this article because the use of these dangerous poisons is not warranted, it is not sustainable, and is not what the residents want.